नमस्कार दोस्तों। वेलकम टू माय IT लाइफ हसल यूट्यूब चैनल। आज का टॉपिक है व्हाट शुड यू एक्सपेक्ट इफ़ यू जॉइन अ डेवलपमेंट टीम एज अ फ्रेशर। ओके सो so one thing, whatever your role may be, right, you should be aware what are your responsibilities. Okay, so typically a development team comprises of scrum master, team lead, senior developers, junior developers, and QAs. Okay, each one of them has their own set of responsibilities and tasks are assigned accordingly. Now, suppose you are a fresher and you have joined your first project as a developer. Okay, so what should you expect? What can be your responsibilities? Okay, so first of all, if you are a developer, right, it is expected that you work independently of other team members. Okay, you shouldn't have more dependency on any of the other team member. Okay, even though if you are a fresher, okay, your responsibilities start from day one. Okay, once your training is completed, you have to deliver on your own. Okay, so uh, what you should be prepared for. Okay, so let's talk about that. So generally junior developers don't have the designing part. Okay, before any sprint starts, right, there will be a sprint planning sessions. Okay, wherein you will be given your feature list. Okay, and then you can analyze, okay, I have to work on these features. So what all are required, so what is this feature about, um, what it is part of, like which process and all. Okay, so your job is to analyze the feature properly, understand its functionality. Okay, and point out any dependencies which may be a blocker during the sprint. Okay, for example, suppose to start working on some feature which is given to you, some prerequisite part should be developed first. Okay, so that without it you cannot work on it. Okay, so this is called a dependency or a blocker. So you will have to notify it to your scrum master during the sprint planning itself. Okay, so this is taken care in the sprint planning session. Once it is done, you are ready to start with your feature. Okay, so you will have to lay out a clear implementation part. Okay, so you should be clear, okay, how will I'm going to implement this feature or functionality. Okay, have it clearly defined. Okay, start the coding, implement it, make sure it adheres to the acceptance criteria, and it shouldn't have any bug or code smells. Okay, so once your implementation is done, okay, um, okay, so there are one more aspect also. Okay, regarding the unit tests. So some feel you should write unit test before you start your implementation, and like some people write it after your implementation is done. Okay, so you have to check what is the practice used in your team. Okay, so depending on that, you should implement your UTs for the feature. Okay, um, once UT is done, the next part which may have, okay, that is the EUTs. EUTs are nothing but enhanced UTs. Okay, so what is the difference between UT and EUTs? Okay, UT is like a simple unit test you write to test your particular piece of code. Okay, which will also help you to increase your test coverage percentage. Okay, in SonarQube or whatever tool you use. Okay, and it is independent of any third party dependency. Okay, in EUTs what you do is you set up your environment, your database. Suppose it's a API. Okay, you are developing, working on a development of API. So what will that API is doing? That API is uh, populating some data to the database. Okay, so in EUTs you will have your environment set up locally. Okay, have the database running, and you call your API with the valid values and check the expected behavior. Is the data getting populated or not, if the update is happening correctly or not, if you are getting the correct data or not. So that comes under functional testing, nothing but the EUTs. Okay, so as a developer you should have a good understanding of these testing parts. Okay. Mm, because uh, once you have this covered, right, and also every day you have to update the correct status in your DSM call. Okay, so that everyone is aware. Okay, at which stage your story is in. Okay, if you are stuck somewhere, please like let everyone know. Okay, so don't just sit on it. Okay, so yeah, so once your implementation and UT is done, okay, you have to raise the PR and get it reviewed from at least two members. um, One can be your team lead and one can be your senior developer. Okay. So during the closing of the story, right, uh, generally we have a demo with the PO. Okay, so you have to demo your feature to him. So as let's continue the same example. So you have developed one API, suppose a put API or get API, okay, which populates the data in the DB. So you have to run these EUTs, go through the scenarios. Okay, so in EUTs, right, once you learn about these EUTs, you will know that there are many scenarios that we can configure. Okay, like a simple get or put or insert scenario. Then we can have some error scenarios, negative scenarios, okay, DB not available scenarios. So all these scenarios you will have to configure in your EUTs and demo it to your PO. Okay, once your PO is satisfied and he checks on all the acceptance criteria, then your story is good to close. Okay, so this all you have to do before your story gets closed. Okay, so be aware of all these things. There could be some additional parts in your project also. So apart from EUTs and UTs, okay, some projects have um, like real deployment in their sandbox environments and have it integrated with all the other services also, and have a real testing with the help of QoS. Okay, so many testing efforts is required for one feature. So like, yeah, uh, hope you got a good understanding of what are your responsibilities as a junior developer. Okay, if you are in a rank of senior developer or team lead, so you have to do the designing part also. Okay, so suppose one epic is coming and you need to design the architecture for that epic, so that responsibilities will come under team lead and senior developers. Okay, so as your role jumps up, so responsibilities also jumps up. So better to have a good base at the starting itself. Okay. um, yeah. Hope you like my content. If you have any doubt or any suggestion, what's practice being used in your team, please comment it in the comment box. Any queries, I will of course try to answer them. Okay, thank you guys.